Let's go.
Let's
Welcome
go.
back, everybody. It's your boy Mo Crosby, alongside the crab guy with the dad bod. We are here to discuss DC's Peacemaker. Yes, sir.
Best show
Now,
ever.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. The funniest part about Peacemaker, right? Look at this nigga right here. Move.
We
I'm
have a guest star,
recording.
ladies and gentlemen.
I'm recording. Can you sit down for a second,
Can,
please?
can you introduce the guest star to the audience?
She's camera shy, so she'll sit down while we're doing this. Anyways, the funniest part about Peacemaker, right, was it was announced before the Suicide Squad came out.
Mm-hmm.
So my initial thought was, oh, they're announcing this show before the movie comes out, so it's probably gonna be like one of those like before it's we I didn't and James Gunn had said don't expect anyone to make it out alive. So I was like, if maybe he's gonna die and we're gonna get like a prequel, like that's how
That's
they're
what
gonna
I
do.
actually was thinking. I thought the same thing.
I'm like, oh, they're gonna do a prequel, but no, after the movie ended, this is what happened.
Said they found him in the rubble. They were shocked his heart was still beating. I wasn't certain how safe it was shipping him back here. But if anything, he's shown he's resilient. It'll take some surgery, but eventually we'll get him back up to speed.
You realize this is revenge, right? Waller knows we double-crossed her and she's getting back at us by saddling us with this douchebag.
Yep.
I heard he was sort of a hero down in Corto Maltese.
Was that what you heard? Because not quite.
What do you guys want him for?
Just to save the fucking world, that's all.
All right, so that happened at the end of the Suicide Squad. That was the end credit scene, and I was like, okay, so he's alive, and they're probably gonna use him moving forward. Now, another thing was, I was like, okay, I like the character for the Suicide Squad, right? How would they use him on the show?
Yeah, because I felt like he had a full character arc in the Suicide Squad.
Right. I thought, like he's probably gonna be a one-off like thing, like, and that was another thing. I'm like, oh, it's probably gonna be a one-off season, just this contained story, and we're gonna get another Suicide Squad member. But right before I think the finale aired, Warner Brothers HBO Max announced that they were doing a sequel, a second season to
Mm-hmm.
Peacemaker. So congratulations to the cast of Peacemaker. Congratulations to James Gunn. Congratulations to the entire crew. You get season 2. And thank you, because we love this show and we deserve a season 2.
Thank you.
Now, another thing. Okay, do we get into the show, or do we talk about all the extras before we all the
Let's talk about all the
things?
extras. Let's put the seasoning on first.
All right, great. I've never cooked that way, but since we are here,
You never
let's talk about.
put the seasoning on the meat before you cooked it.
I mean, yeah, I guess if that's the way, but let's talk
You
about
from
this scene
Oklahoma,
right here.
sir.
You're late, you fucking dickheads! Go fuck another fish, asshole! I'm so fucking sick of that rumor.
It's not a rumor.
Very.
Now that was another extra that James Gunn gave to us. Another thing that I didn't expect. I heard crazy cameo, I think, before the season finale, and I was like, okay. Amanda Waller is probably going to make a full cameo because we've seen her face on the show. We hadn't necessarily seen her,
That's what I was
or
thinking.
maybe Bloodsport, because that would make sense, or Ratcatcher, or someone, someone from this Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That was not what I was expecting, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
How did they
And I
keep
think
that under wraps?
that is fucking insane. I think what was done was, so apparently Jason Momoa and
Ezra.
Ezra shot that scene on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I read that last night. I was on some Facebook page last night and I saw that. And a lot of people was upset that they were shooting DC scenes on Disney property or something like that. But like, dude, have have you guys never been to Hollywood? Like, these lots are like right there by each other.
These
Like,
guys, these guys don't hate each other.
yeah,
it's
like
it's
this
a
is a
fan thing.
business. They're all making money.
DC and Marvel do not hate each other. It's a fan thing, bro. Like let's just put that out. Let's put it out there.
But here's my question: when they shot that scene, was Hardcore really supposed to die, and they found out they were getting renewed for a second season, like before they told the public, and they kind of reshot that scene?
That's a good question, but that's a really good question. But let's address the show first, and then we go into this part of it. So we got
Yeah.
the seasoning on. We're already putting that to marinate. Now let's get into the sauce, the show itself. Episode 1 of Peacemaker, I think, is one of the better episode 1s I've seen for a TV show, for a comic book superhero TV show, because
Agreed.
there's ways that you can introduce a character that has already been introduced, but this character was reintroduced again to us in that episode. We met, mind you, we met him on Coda Maltese, right? Suicide Squad, but we never knew the person, right? It's all like stories and, well, I do this, I do that, I've done this, but we've never really seen him in action
Yeah,
outside
he's
of that.
Superman in the hospital.
Yeah. So now we have him out of jail, out of the hospital. He went to a bar. He met, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And then what does he do? He takes the papers that they gave him for the fucking case that he's on, and he goes to this person's house, and he spreads it on the fucking bed.
Yeah.
For the butterfly to see. And I thought that was, again, classic Peacemaker, as we get to see throughout the show, is he's a fucking doofus.
Yeah, he's not the smartest,
He's not the smartest,
but he is loyal to the end.
to the fault, as we see with him and his dad, with him and his friends, or friends that he makes as the show goes on. I think, but the best thing I like about his character, if we're just going to talk about the characters, is the best thing I like about his character is the growth.
Hmm.
There is a character we met in Coda Maltese, right? That character we met in Coda Maltese and this character we have now are two different characters. By the end of this show and by the end of that movie are two different characters. What's funny, though, I do want to point out that two of the other characters on this show are from the Suicide Squad movie.
That is true.
Economist
But I mean, they didn't get time to shine. Hardcore and
Economist.
Diebeard. Yeah.
Yeah, Diebeard. But and that's that, so it's great that there's a lot of crossover between the movie, because again, in my mind, I'm like, it's gonna be Peacemaker doing things again. I didn't know he was gonna have a team, and in my mind, I'm like, it's gonna be Peacemaker doing missions and things for like low level things for Waller. But no, it's a team kind of show. It's a team mission, and so I like that part of a show. Question though, I want to move on to another character. I think the next character we should move on to is Adebayo, Leota Adebayo, which I'm starting to think. Again, her actual name is Leota Waller, but she took her wife's last name. I think she had, again. So we're talking about character growth and characters. She had the second best character growth or arc to me.
To me, to be honest, I think she had the biggest one. It's just John Cena just brought it to a level where it's like you cared about, and
True.
he had more screen time. But to
True.
me, I think she had the biggest character arc. But she killed. She ate every scene that she was in,
Hmm.
which I'm a huge fan of her. For those that don't know, Mo and I spoke on the phone before we shot this episode, and I was talking about how much of a huge fan of her I actually am. And I don't think in how many seasons did Orange is the New Black have? What,
I
six
don't
seasons?
remember. I
But
did go all the way to 4 or 5.
yeah, but her character was my favorite character is Orange and the New Black. And and to me, I don't think that she was able to actually shine the way she was able to shine in this series.
Damn,
And
in
again,
one
that's
season?
in one season. I think she did more of a. She got a chance to actually expand her range in this one season than she did in that whole time in Orange. But she was phenomenal in Orange. That's not me knocking her acting. I have a lot of problems with Orange. Is none of it has to do with her acting. It has a lot to do with Piper, um, and how that show wrote black people. But yeah, but she was just phenomenal. And again, she brought it. She ate up the screen time and camera every time that she was on film. Was probably she's definitely my favorite character on the show aside from Peacemaker. John Cena killed it. She comes in second by default because she didn't get as much time as John Cena got.
It's interesting. Um, I personally think you're right. It could be a 1A 1B kind of thing with her and John Cena. It could be a 1A 1B kind of thing with her and Peacemaker because she goes from not really fitting in or not feeling like she fits in to actually fitting in. And I think if there's anything anyone wanted to be mad about for the show, is the fact that she goes from like herself to John Wick by the last episode.
Yeah, and that was the arc. That like she never killed anybody. She didn't feel like she belonged there. She was torn between between her mom and the job, and then at some point in time, the job, and then making friends at the job, which she didn't really have a relationship with uh hardcore. She didn't have a relationship with economists, and Mern nobody could get a beat on for the longest part until it was revealed. And she was in the dark about the whole Mern thing. And the only person that she was able to bond with was Peacemaker. I think she
Right.
was the first one that actually started calling him Chris, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she was the first one to start calling him Chris.
And
Um,
yeah, so it's like it's cool how her character evolved and really became more of a heartbeat of the show. And then
she
from being a
was.
heartbeat, it was like, dude, I don't belong here to oh no, this is my job. Let me get these pistols. I'm gonna start banging.
Yeah, ended the whole season like John Wick, and I thought that was really interesting. The other character I think we should talk about personally, I want to talk about Harcourt. I feel like that could be like your low character, but to me, she okay, she did start off really low, like I don't give a fuck about you, and then by the end, she opened up and became more of a person.
Hmm.
She was a robot in the beginning of the season. She was a robot about the job. She just wanted to do the job and get out of there. But she became more personable as the show went on. And I
Yeah.
think we may not have gotten into her story, but we did get into her character of the person she
Yeah, we
is.
got her personality real good. There's some
Yes.
trauma there, something there. Like we
Yes.
didn't get what that something is, and even that bed scene with her and Cena when she's like reaching for his hand, like that hesitance, but like okay, you was there for me when nobody else was there. Grab my hand, and now I'm crying because I'm actually opening up to you. That said a lot about her character.
Yes. And actually, right. And you okay, so speaking of the fact that you said what you said, so let's bring back the meat for a little bit. We're about to flip it over, right? You had said, well, you had asked, did we think that she was gonna die, and then they announced the second season, and they probably reshot that last
Hmm.
episode. I don't know, but it you could be right because that scene felt like it did feel very finite with her
Hmm.
when she got shot. and she did what she did. It felt very finite. It felt very end to the character. Um, but she's back, and they probably announced the second season, and she's like, you know what, I'm back. And the producers and everyone, probably because the fans are liking her, so she's back, and it's a comic book, so no one really dies until they die. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, and Chris wore the gloves the whole time. I just want to point that out. Like, like to anybody who doesn't really follow comic books and then look at comic book media, it means something when you see like little character details, like Thor with the feathers on the helmet,
Hmm.
or Captain America with the feathers on the helmet, or when he wears or had the gloves on. So it's like seeing John Cena actually commit to the character, actually wear the gloves the whole time, even
Yo,
though it looks silly. It's
it's it's it's funny because while he was doing like marketing for the show, he wore the costume every
every
time.
time, every time
Every late night show he did,
he
everywhere
committed.
he went, he committed to the character, and I think that is one of the reasons why people fell in love with the show and fell in love with the character, because you could see John Cena really commit to it, and so you felt like this was something you could commit to as well. It's something when we see our actors committing to the role, and you're like, you know what, I can get behind that. John Cena is also someone people like a lot, so yeah.
Yeah.
The next character I want to talk about is Vigilante, and
Yes.
I think I speak for everyone to know that this is everyone's favorite idiot. But to speak on the loyalty, he is very loyal.
Yeah. Except
This
for
is
when you smoke weed inside of his bed.
this is one of the characters. This is one of the characters that I feel like there was. Okay, you can quote me, right, or you can tell me I'm wrong. I feel like there was no character growth, and the reason I feel like there was no character growth is
Yeah.
because this is one of the characters that was sure of himself from day one. He knew who he was, he knew what he was, he knew what he brought, and he was very static, very stagnant the entire season, but he was fun.
Hmm.
So I think there was no need for character growth. There was no need for, just character interaction. He himself was fun. I think he rounds out the whole team, in my opinion. It's while you have the team as who they are and the characters as who they are, Leota is the heart. Uh, I feel like what's her name could be the muscle or the secondary muscle, but
Go
he
hardcore.
is, yeah, he brings the team together in a funny, crazy way. It's weird, but he
I think
does.
hardcore is the brains. Like she's the muscle, but she's definitely the brains.
Or they were probably prepping her to be the second leader of the team, given
Yeah.
that the next character we're going to talk about, Mern, dies. Okay, to be honest, I didn't like that Mern died. I liked the character. You know what I like best about the character?
We
I
didn't know
think
nothing about him.
we
Like
didn't know
that.
anything about him.
Yeah, and it was
And
like you
even
wanted to learn, and it's like you find out he's already dead. It's like, oh crap.
and the worst part of, yeah, he was dead. But the thing about it is, what makes Mern's character make sense to me, right, is that he brought that guy who ended up faking to be the police chief, right? And you saw how psychopathic that guy was, how crazy that guy was.
Yo, the rubble scene, yo.
Yo, but
Oh, my God.
it's weird because the first time Leota meets Mern, she says, I've heard about you. I know what you've done.
Hmm.
So you gotta, when you see who he's friends with, you gotta think like, what could he have possibly done? Now at that point, when we find out that he's a butterfly, to me he became a very like interesting character, because it's like when the butterfly says, even I know everything he's done, and he's like the worst person in the world,
And
but
he was
even
redeeming.
he, yes, he became an interesting character, because what the fuck did you do, bro? Like, what the fuck have you done? Like, what is
Dude,
it?
he was interesting from day one. And I don't know, you could go back and watch our first episode of this, and I mentioned that then. Like, I want to know more about him. Especially when he
True.
was like, he was accused for not being emotional. But then he was like, as a butterfly, I was said to be the most emotional.
Hey, listen. I liked him. I liked his banter with especially our next character, John Economist Diebeard. Um,
Yes.
I think, you know what's funny? I think people think Vigilante was there for comedy. I honestly think Economist was there for the comedy. Like it was
Hmm.
unintentional, but it was funny a lot of the times because he was being serious a lot. And people would just laugh at him because he's just maybe the way he says it or his mannerisms, but he was funny to me.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, I think this is a good cast of characters that we have, right? A good cast of actors. Again, it's great to see him and Hardcore coming from the actual movie side, with John Cena, with everyone else being just for the show. But it's fun to see those guys come. They probably already had their chemistry from there, but they get to work on it and grow it more on the show.
Yeah. I like Diebeard too because Diebeard seemed to humanize everybody. Like even though he was about the job, like it was weird how he was humanizing everybody. Like
Yes.
he realized, okay, I could even though we don't like Chris as a person because Chris is a horrible person, Chris seems to love music and I could bond with him on music. Hardcore is about the job, but I could bond with hardcore about job related stuff, but don't have to make it work related. You know, um, I could see Abadej is not really doesn't really get up to snuff on stuff, but I don't have to be hard on her because hardcore is doing that. And I could try to just be human to her and be nice. If you notice, he was very nice to her the
He was,
whole
yeah,
time.
he was one of the nicest ones to her the entire
Yeah,
time. Yes.
like even when Vigilante came over, like yo, this dude's a mess up, but we can still use his skill set, so let's make him part of the team.
Yes.
Like it seems
Yes.
like he was like the guy who like no matter what, no matter what, I could get along with you,
Hmm.
and if I have to, I'm gonna get my hands dirty because because I get along with everybody. I could tell what people's needs are. Like the whole thing with the chainsaw with the gorilla, when when dude was like, it'd be so cool if I kill somebody with a chainsaw. What Diver does, like, oh shoot, there's a giant gorilla killing somebody. Let me use this chainsaw. It's gonna be real cool. People remember this.
Yeah, and I think all of that, the characters they work. Now the
He
story
had
of
good
the show,
development,
he
but
did, he did.
all right. So hear me out. When he had fell and broke his leg, I was like, dude, that was like a waste of real great character development that y'all did during the season. But then when he crawled over there to her and brought her the helmet, I was like, oh, that was
That
such a
that
payoff.
that was a payoff. It was a payoff. Like things were done on the show that to me I was like, wow. But then they all paid off at the end of it. You understand?
Hmm.
Let's talk about the end when they defeat the cow, right? I think Peacemaker was mad at Adebayo the entire time, that entire episode. But I think when she came down and he had noticed her, right? Activate tornado, uh
Hmm.
human tornado, right? Human
Yeah.
torpedo.
Yeah.
I think he did that as a fuck you, but I forgive you type thing.
So here's the thing. I legit think that he forgave her prior to when he saw that she came down there to help him. I think that's when it clicked like, yo, she genuinely cares. She could have let me go on this dummy mission by myself. And then the first time she did it and ran her head up against the wall, trying to save him, it was like, oh, dude, she really risked it all because she's not a warrior. She is not a
Yeah,
fighter.
and
She's
plus
not.
he had told you what the helmet does.
So
It'll
the fact
fuck
that
up your
you
whole
made
body.
that, yeah. So the
Yeah.
fact that she tried to make that kind of sacrifice for him, it was, and she's smart, and they went out their way to show she's actually a very smart character, and he
Yes.
recognized it. So it's like he knows that she's not dumb, and she just did it out of emotion. It's like, oh no, I know what the sacrifice is. I'm doing this for you because
Right.
I care about you. And this is also part of the mission. And I'm dedicated to this mission because I could have easily stayed up there with hardcore. But she's like, no, you got to do this mission.
Right.
And
Um.
yeah. So I was like, I think in that moment, he realized it. Like, oh, shoot. Um,
But he still had to tell her good fuck you
yeah.
by using her to defeat the cow. So now let's talk about the story of the show. The story of the show is Peacemaker has been recruited again by Amanda Waller, and she's using him to as a tool to get rid of the butterflies. The butterflies were brought to her by Mern. It's funny though. What's funny about the butterflies is they don't see what they're doing as oppression. They see it as they're trying to help us, But then by taking away human decision from it, in sense you are in a sense excuse me, you are in a sense, like oppressing the human race.
Yeah. There's a story about Superman where there's two stories about Superman where that happens. Three, three actually. There's the Injustice story, which I'm not gonna get into. There's the Red Sun Superman, and then there's the one where Superman wants to create world peace,
Peace
and
on
and
Earth.
yeah, there's that story.
Peace on Earth, in my mind, was a great story because he does learn that while he does have the power to do what he needs to do, he didn't do it. He didn't, which is why I look at Injustice and I'm like, it's such a crappy story because on the reverse side, you have a Superman Peace on Earth that came out years before and
Hmm.
tells something similar without making Superman a dickhead.
Right, and I
Um,
feel like that's what I feel like that's what this did. It kind of, in a weird way, tried to tell the Peace on Earth story. Like, look, we have the power. We're helping you by doing this, and then it goes, and that's where it differs from the Peace on Earth story.
yeah.
Like, no, we're actually doing it. Like, as opposed to Superman's actually realizing he has the power to do it.
And so at the end of the story, at the end of the season, Peacemaker has to make a choice. This is someone who's taken a vow to bring peace to Earth. That is his whole character. That's been his whole character prior to this story. And he makes a decision that ends up with the humans dying. Oh no, no. Ends up with him taking the side of the butterflies,
Hmm.
which I thought was funny because it's like it goes against, which is funny, which again why we bring up his character development because it goes against his character
Sure,
or
but
what his character
but actually,
was
it's spot
before.
on. If you think about it, it's spot on. So think about this: is peace or is freedom free if you don't have a say so in your own freedom, right? If I tell you what your freedoms are, and if you follow these rules, this is your freedom. Is that free, or is that
Hmm.
rule and is that dominion? Like, if you shut up and you take what I tell you, and by doing that, you're free, which means you now have peace. Is that free? And I think that's so. I think that's something that Peacemaker thought. Like, dude, if I did this, you guys would have been in danger, right? Because he mentions that to Ab in I think in the car.
Adebayo, no, because
Yeah,
I think the
I think
butterflies
he
would
did
have
that at the
killed
hospital.
the team. The,
Yeah,
the
because
butterflies
at
would have
some
killed the team because that team is against what it's at some point going to rise up against them. So
right,
we're
because
gonna or
at what point in
or what
time, when is the plateau? When is the plateau to
or
this is free?
actually what I think is the reason why he said that is because he knows who they are, their
Mhm.
character. If the butterflies come into them, the person dies
Yes.
essentially. The person who they are, who they were, dies, and then it's the life of the butterfly. Butterfly is gonna live that person's life. So I think the two biggest times we noticed that was when Mern one said it when he was telling that bio, and the second, and the police officer when Golf gets into her, she turns and she tells her partner she liked you.
Hmm.
She just didn't have the nerve to tell you, but she was fond of you. I think that is essentially what he ended up choosing, and that's why he chose humanity as opposed to the butterflies.
Right. So you're not
um
free. So in the essence, Peacemaker still stood by the idea of peace. Like, hey, look, if you're under rule of somebody, that's not peace and freedom. Even in theory, if you're still under rule of somebody right now by what we consider society constructs, this is still more considered freedom than me telling you what you have to do in order to be successful, and I'm going to dictate the terms to guide you in the right direction. That's not free thinking. That's not free thought. That's control.
Right. And I think the other best part of it was, so if we're talking about that, right? The the um the flip side, right, is that, hold on, you are right. You are right. He did choose peace in his own way. The second story, the B story to the season, is, I think, his father. Again, we found out about his father in the Suicide Squad, never understood who he was, but now we meet him in the show, and we get to see how much of a dickhead and how abusive he has been to
Hmm.
Peacemaker, and how he has warped his sense of justice, his sense of peace. How warped it is because of who he came from. And one of the biggest abuses that his father used, or one of the biggest things that his father used to abuse him, was the death of his brother, blaming him
Hmm.
for it. Bro, you don't have these kids fighting each other in a death match and then blame the guy for killing his brother.
Yeah, his father was a dick. I do.
But
So for those
okay.
that don't know, in the comics, Peacemaker, he talks to his helmet. Like he hears voices. Typically, when he wears his helmet, he talks to his helmet and hears voices from his helmet. I think they so in Suicide Squad, that was one of my complaints. Was I knew that about the Peacemaker character. I was like, dude, why aren't they showing that aspect of him? And then in this show, it I loved everything about the show, but I kept wondering why they didn't show that. And towards the end, when he kills his father, like, oh, they're going there. They're definitely going there.
That's how they're gonna get that.
Yeah.
That's definitely how they're gonna get that. Um, Again, with the announcement of a season two, he's a character that we love to hate,
I hate that guy.
and
All
and so
his father.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so
there's no love there.
but it's something that we want to see. I'd like to see how he deals with it, the death of his father, and they've set up, how he's going to deal with it. Or like you said, he's gonna start talking to the helmet. Um, Before we go, can we talk about expectations for season two?
Yeah. Um. First and foremost, I'm looking for more growth from. I don't know where you're gonna go at from John. I guess you're going to have to get to that grieving part and that acceptance part. That no, I'm not a racist. Even though John's always, well, Chris has always denied being a racist throughout the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think he's been trying to separate himself from his father. I think you're going to get more of that separation of his father's impact versus on him versus who he is as a person. So I think you're going to see that kind of a clash. Like, this is my father's influence on me. This is me getting away from that to be a better Chris and actually be the peacemaker I actually thought that I was. Um, what's the name? Abadej what
Adebayo.
Adebayo. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Adebayo. I think they're gonna have to let her really take the reins on the show going forward, just because of how she brought it this season. Like, her acting was phenomenal. So like, they're definitely gonna have to really give her more screen time than what they did in the past. I'm not sure where they go at from there. I hope they kind of go more into her relationship with her partner, her wife, just because I feel like the wife was just there. You know what I mean? I feel like the wife didn't add or take away from the character. Um, I can't, but that the wife was a part of who she was, part of who as a character. Like, that's her wife, and they're married. And they went out their way to, like, no other character they showed them being in a relationship but her. So if you're gonna do that, commit. Like, show us the impact of that relationship and her decision making in the workplace and all that kind of stuff. And bring the wife in. Like, you have the wife in the opening credits. Bring her in. You know. I want to see hardcore. I don't want to see hardcore and Peacemaker in a relationship though. Uh, I don't I don't think he needs that. But I do want to see Hardcore still try to humanize Peacemaker, and you see that loyalty, wa- warrior friendship or whatever. And dude, I love Vigilante.
Honestly, just keep him as he is.
Yeah,
Just keep him as he is. He was fun. I liked him being around. I liked his interaction with Peacemaker. Um, I'm with you on Adebayo. I don't necessarily know if I'm with you on her wife, but I'm with you on her. Like, I need more character growth from her. She is Amanda Waller's daughter, but I'd like to see, like, that part of her come out. That could
hmm
be what she's trying to hide, and that could be where they bring in her wife, who helps bring her back. I'd like to see the Waller part of her come out. The Peacemaker, just keep him the way he is, also, but keep him dealing with his dad's death and all of that stuff. Honestly, in season 2, I think I'd like to see a more of a villain, not necessarily like, I don't know if I also don't know if I want to see a villain of the week type of thing. Like every 2 episodes a different villain, or
no,
like,
give us somebody. Give us somebody who broke out of Bell Reeve or something like that. That
I like Kite Man, to be honest, because I feel like the way he talks
he's
about
dead,
Kite
right?
Man.
Did
Is
Peacemaker
he?
say he killed him? Okay.
We
I
don't
mean,
know.
mind you, Kite Man's hilarious. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, why not though? Like the way Peacemaker talks about him, I would like to see Kite Man like defend himself, or like something in the sorts. But I'm very excited for season 2 of the show.
or King
I can't.
Shark.
King Shark, they do have. You know what? That would be crazy because King Shark would have beef with him for
Exactly.
killing. Yeah, So I would like to see one or two characters from the movie come to this side of things. Why not? Like, none of these characters are so big that they can't, do a TV show. And this is HBO Max. This is not like CW. So why not? You know, if you had the Justice League or 2 talking members of the Justice League at the end of the show, what's wrong with having, 1 or 2 members of the Suicide Squad come onto the show? Why not make it a way to bring back Katana,
Yeah.
and make her an actual character, not the shit we got in, the first movie, or like, I wouldn't mind Harley on the show for a
I,
split second.
I was so here's the thing. I was actually scared when they said that there was going to be a major cast, like a major something in the show. I was scared that's what it was going to be. Like,
I
I'm not
mean,
against Harley in the
Harley
show,
does sit in the DC universe in HBO Max.
but the
She's
thing
there.
about it is she
It's a
eats up.
it's a cartoon show, but she's there.
She does, but she eats up so much screen. You get what I'm saying? And with this cast
I
and
said
nobody,
for a second or two, for a minute, like for a
yeah,
quick episode, and just again, there's nothing wrong with doing cameos the entire season. Why not?
yeah, yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. If that's what they want to do, I don't. Um, and because of what has happened with Waller and her daughter, why can't this team be on the run?
Yeah. Also, I don't. I hope that they do kill off a cast member next season, preferably
I mean,
Diebeard,
if
just
they've killed
because,
off one, why not kill off another?
dude. I hope Diebeard gets killed off, and the reason why is I feel like you're going to get more character development from everybody across the board because of his death, because of his impact on everybody on the show. It would make
That,
sense.
that's
Y-
very true. So a lot of things could happen. I mean, there's a lot, but again, with James Gunn, I am not worried. I'm not
Yeah,
like scared. I know it's gonna be bigger. It's gonna be better. Bigger and better doesn't, could mean more cameos. Big and better could just mean like a bigger budget and just more things blowing up. Bigger and better could be different other things. But I liked the show. I liked the cameo. I'm gonna run that back one more time before we go. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you, Kyle, for dropping by.
okay. Also, hold up before we cut off. And before we do the like and subscribe, hit that like button, leave a remark. Before we do that, I just want to call out those haters. We know what haters we're talking about, right? Because you mentioned the cameo twice. So sorry, you poked the bear. That cameo was perfect. All
The
right.
cameo was perfect. I liked it. I loved it.
Like,
I
if you
wouldn't say I
guys
loved
read
it.
a
I
comic
liked it a
book,
lot.
don't get
Yeah,
caught
that's
up
all I'm
with the
saying.
Snyder
Like,
stuff, dude. Enjoy media. Enjoy the media. We're living in a platinum age of
Bro,
media.
I was gonna at some point while I was thinking of, or figuring out how to make this episode, I was gonna dedicate like a portion of time to talk to those guys, but I don't care. I honestly don't care because
No,
I
but they're
enjoyed the show.
destroying. Like
I
they're
understand.
sabotaging
I
everything.
understand. I
We can't
understand
have
that.
nice things.
I understand that, but bro, I honestly don't care anymore. It's funny to me to look at, it's funny to me to watch. You're right, because of they're not even a majority. They're a small minority, but because of how loud they are, it seems like I think they're so small of a minority that it doesn't move the dial either way. I think last year
Oh, they
was
push for the Snyder cut. Like they move it
I
down.
don't think so. I don't think so. HBO Max needed people to sign up for HBO Max, and that minority could get people to sign up for HBO Max. So why not?
Dude, on a Harley
Because
Quinn show, they
honestly,
had the
because
freaking plant wearing a Release the Snyderverse shirt, and they were even poking fun at
because
them
yes,
for
because they were
dude. So
poking
they are moving the
fun.
dial.
No, again, because people know. Of course, people know notice these things, but they're not moving anything. Because if they were moving anything, right? Last year was an anomaly. Let's talk about last year real quick. Last year was an anomaly for movies everywhere. The highest grossing movie last year didn't happen until December. We went
Shouts
through
out
a
to
whole
Spider Man.
yeah, we went through a whole summer that nobody made a dent in the box office. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so the Suicide Squad flopping last year happened because like that is
But
a
they
we
also
can
hijacked this Rotten Tomatoes on purpose because they didn't like James Gunn.
and guess what DC did? They shut that shit down. Like they did it for Captain Marvel. They shut that shit down. So it doesn't matter to me because at the end of the day, that movie was critically acclaimed. It was fresh. People loved it. The
Yeah,
majority of
dude,
people loved that movie. The
James Gunn's
minority,
art with colors. I mentioned this in the first episode here, right? So when you look at what James Gunn does with Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm not going to mention Brightburn because there are a lot of problems with what he did there, but with Guardians of the Galaxy and with the Suicide Squad and this, if you look at how he makes colors pop, even in dark areas, like space is dark, like there's no sunlight in space a lot of times, and he made colors pop there. The scene where the butterfly was flying and Cena's in that cave and he's looking at it like what the hell, and you see it, the colors on it. The starfish, what's his name? Starperio, Starro. When Starro's there and you first see Starro, you're like, oh crap, and you see how the colors pop. Like only Gunn has that ability to do that. It's amazing. And it's like, come on, man. You guys hate that? You guys hate actually looking at something that looks right out the comic book on the screen? Why? Why do you hate the thing that you want to see?
and can I tell you why they don't move the dial right? If they did move the dial, do you know what show would not be getting a second season?
This.
Peacemaker. But the show's getting a second season. People love it. It's moving forward. The other thing, the reason they hate a lot of people have not seen the show, but seen shots of the cameo and are talking shit about it.
Yes.
That doesn't make sense to me. You haven't seen a frame of the show, but you have so much to say because your Batman isn't there, your Cyborg isn't there, so you have so much to say. Or Henry Cavill's face didn't show up, or Gal Gadot. Henry Cavill has contract disputes with Warner Brothers, so why would his face be there? No, they've asked him to do cameos more than once, and he's not. He said no. He's asked for money. They're not giving him the money. Gal Gadot is probably filming. Gal Gadot is probably busy, so she can't come. Aquaman, Jason Momoa just finished Aquaman in March, I believe. So yes, he is able to come do something.
He's willing
the
to do whatever. Like he
yeah,
just likes the
he
art.
loves the character. Exactly, he loves the character. He just
I
wants to
think he
do it.
just loves everything. He just seems like the kind of guy that just like,
As
hey, we're
Ezra,
doing this.
you
Sure,
know
I'll
what's
do it.
funny? So I read that James Gunn, or I didn't, yeah, James Gunn said he only wanted the cameo to be Jason Momoa because of the ongoing joke from Peacemaker. Ezra Miller, they wrote that scene or that line for Ezra Miller to say. Ezra Miller heard that and said, "Yo, I'll come with you. I want to do this too." And James Gunn probably took the opportunity to say, "You know what? Let's cast someone as Wonder Woman and let's have Superman flying in the air." And that's the end of it. It doesn't matter. Again, I liked it. I thought it was funny. I thought it landed well. The people who are gonna say it didn't because they don't like this arc, or they don't like James Gunn, or they don't like the fact that Snyder hasn't touched the DC movie since God knows when. No, I don't care, bro. At this point,
You're
I'm
not
enjoying
missing
my
him.
I'm enjoying my DC content. If you're not, then you're not. I don't care about you. And that's, I think, what needs to happen is the people that do like DC content, or the people that are watching DC content moving forward, should stop replying or responding to those people. Because if you don't, what's gonna happen is, what makes it big and what gives it legs to stand on is the fact that people keep responding to them and keep replying to them. And when you do, it grows it more. You're making those
Mhm.
impressions happen. I'm not giving you, I promise, I'm not giving you no more impressions. I'm not giving you my words. I'm not giving you my thoughts. I'm not giving you anything else, because that would mean you're taking away from my enjoyment. You're not taking away from my enjoyment, bro. I love DC Comics. I've loved DC Comics. I had a problem with Superman. DC's taking its time to fix it. By the time we get there, we'll get there. In March, guess what's gonna happen in March? March 4th, the Batman drops, right?
Justice. Show him
I
right now.
will.
Do it. Oh
March
my God.
4th, this happens. When that drops, one of two things is gonna happen. They're gonna people keep saying, "Oh no, this Batman doesn't compare to one particular Batman, Ben Affleck." Guess what's gonna happen when Flashpoint comes? I think in November, whenever Flashpoint comes, people are gonna look at it and be like, "Oh well, this is the definitive Batman," because Ben Affleck is gonna be playing Batman for the last time. He has said he doesn't want to do IPs anymore, and I don't blame him. I do not blame him. This is something that you have to. Ben Affleck, at this point in his life, at this point in his career, wants to enjoy himself, and I do not blame him, bro.
He's in his 50s. Like, and to
Matt,
be honest, you work out until I pulled my muscle. I used to work out. When you're doing it for a camera and you're acting, that takes a lot of wear and tear on your body. What's my guy name? Hugh Jackman mentioned the same thing. That's the reason why he wanted to step away from the Wolverine role. Like, he loved the Wolverine role, but it does a lot of wear and tear on your body with the eating, the workouts you got to do, because it's a certain look you have to fit these roles. And if you're an actor and not naturally an athlete, and that's not even athletes. Look at how many retired football players, basketball players, and so on and so forth that don't have that look anymore after they retire. It takes a lot of work and effort. Like, it's just not there. So it's like, I get it. Ben's done his job. He was, to a lot of people, the definitive Batman. Uh, I'm not gonna say to a lot of people, to a group of people, he was the definitive Batman, which was cool. Ben is in his 50s now. Let him go do his own thing. Thank you, Ben, for contributing to the art and contributing to the culture. And let's move forward. Like, if this young man Patterson does a great job, cool. The next person up, cool. Just give us good stuff. That's all I ask. I don't need to be dark. I don't need to be edgy. I don't need to be in like. Only thing I need is to be good. Can I get a good product that I want to spend money for and watch in the theater?
what's gonna happen is that Batman movie is gonna be good. It's gonna be good. He's probably gonna knock it out the park, and they're gonna hate because that is what they do, and that's just how they feel. And what's gonna happen is, if that movie is good and it works, if that guy does play, if Patterson does play Batman to a T, if we get Detective Batman, if we get Fighter, if we get all of the crime stopping Batman that we can possibly get, and it's good, we're still gonna have those people do what they do. But at that point, what I've said is, don't give them any more shine, because now we have a good thing to look at. We have a good thing to look forward to. I am not. I'm not. Whatever they feel, whatever their concerns are, would not go anywhere.
Hmm.
And again, thank you for watching. And if you're listening on a podcast, thank you for listening. Thank you, Kyle, for stopping by. We will
Thank you.
catch you. We will catch you on the next one. I'm going to leave you with the Justice League Arrives to Help trailer as we dip. Peace.
Peace.
late, you fucking dickheads. Go fuck another fish, asshole. I'm so fucking sick of that rumor.
It's not a rumor.
Fuck you, Barry.